Okay, thank you all for coming to this happy hour event. My name is Kiprono, the host. And today we have three presenters, and the theme is East Asia. So our first presenter is Mathan. He'll be talking about Hong Kong and his adventures there, followed by Alice and then Sally. So how it will work during the presentation, I'll be interacting with the presenter, asking them my own questions. And then after the presentation, there'll be a Q&A. So during the Q&A, you can ask now your questions. So since now we're doing the recording, please don't shout any questions. We want to get like all your questions, the audio and everything. So please wait until the Q&A to ask your questions. So, and after each presentation, there'll be a Q&A. So 3 Q&As, 3 presentations, 3 Q&As. So yeah, karibuni tena. And without further ado, let's welcome Mathan.
Thank you, Asante. The room looks very familiar, and I'm very happy about that I know at least 70% of the room. So I feel like I'm talking to my friends, and that will relieve the nerves of giving a high-stakes presentation. So karibuni sana, my name is Mathan, for those of you in the room who don't know me. And in September last year, I made a short stopover to Hong Kong, and I spent some time there. And today's presentation is about my adventures in Hong Kong. I'm hoping to inspire 1 or 2 people to visit Hong Kong to try out an adventure that they like, and come and make a presentation about it so that I can also sit there and see you making a presentation. So this was my first day in Hong Kong, and the reason I took this picture was so that I could have the contrast with the gentleman behind me. If you see me on a regular day in Nairobi, this is how I'm usually dressed, and a lot of people find it odd that I dress in shorts and sneakers all the time. But when I arrived in Hong Kong, I found people dressed like me. So I was very happy, and I had that picture taken so I could come back and show Nairobi people I'm actually a normal, sane person. Yeah. I'll start you off with some pictures of Hong Kong. I've realized that there's so many AI images when you look up Hong Kong on Instagram or on the internet. So I want to show you some pictures that are not AI. This is not AI. This is downtown Hong Kong. These are residential buildings. And you can see the contrast. This is also Hong Kong. This is a hiking trail in Hong Kong. And you can see the contrast of city and nature vibes. And this was something that was very mind-blowing to me. This is also Hong Kong. Contrast is, these are older buildings in Hong Kong, mostly residential areas. And this is newer modern buildings where the banks are. Hong Kong is an international banking center. So this is not AI. If you see these pictures on the internet, definitely not AI. This one is AI. This is AI. Because for 2 reasons. I am not such a happy person. I've never been that happy in my life. And I do not know who this older Chinese woman is. This is AI. If you see it on the internet, this is not me. Yeah, that wasn't me. When Kip told me to come and talk about Hong Kong adventures, he didn't specify which adventures. So I'll say, cha muhimu ni kutoka block, Kip.
Are you still in touch with her?
This is AI, ChatGPT. All right, so I did some hiking in Hong Kong, and the first hiking experience that I'd like to pitch to you or sell you on or talk about is the Victoria Peak hike. The Victoria Peak hike is a very touristy hiking destination. This is where all the tourists go for a very short hike. And if you're ever in Hong Kong for an hour, for a day, or for a layover, this is the hike that I'd recommend to you. For 2 reasons: because it's very accessible. It's so close to central Hong Kong, and you can just take a bus up to the Victoria Peak. So Victoria Peak is a hill that is in between the city, and when you're on top of the hill, you get these amazing views of central Hong Kong. And you can hike this during the day and get that view of the city during the day. And you can also come at night and get this fantastic view of the city. It's a 4-kilometer circular loop, so not a hard hike. It's not an altitude hike. There's no climbing unless you want to climb all the way from central Hong Kong and do what is the world's longest outdoor escalator. So you take the escalator halfway up and then you take a tram to Victoria Tower, and then you do the Victoria Loop around Victoria Peak, hike up to Victoria Peak, and witness this amazing views of Hong Kong. Yeah, so it's very accessible, and you can access it via bus or via MTR, and just the city skyline of Hong Kong cannot be beaten on anything else that is not the Victoria Peak.
It's a free hike, unguided.
Yes, 100%. So this is unguided. You do not need any amount of money other than the bus ticket that you will be on. There's no entrance fee, there's no park fees. And even on the Victoria Tower, which is a viewing tower that has a sky deck, there's a free section and there's a paid section. So all of this is absolutely free to hike. If you have a bit more time though in Hong Kong, the Maclehose Trail is what I would want you to look in. And this is 100 kilometers through hike that is segmented across 10 sections. These are just some of the areas that I was able to go on this trail. I spent approximately 4 days on this trail, out and back. It's a hiking and camping trail. So there are designated campsites that have toilets, that have bathrooms, that are supplied, they're well supplied by local families. So you'll find there's a local family that has set up or that has their home next to the campsite, and they have a tuck shop, they have somewhere where you can buy instant noodles, and you can buy some food, some Coca-Cola, and have a meal. This trail is interesting in that you will mostly be hiking by yourself. So I didn't encounter very many people when I was hiking, but when I got to the campsite and in the evening, the campsite always got filled. So there were very many tourists, especially from mainland China, who in the evening would come into the campsite, and it was a contrast. It was surprising to me because where were all you people when we were hiking during the day? So you hike it by yourself during the day, but in the evening, you end up making friends with people who are in the campsite. That's where your Google Translate will come in handy. Always the best thing about traveling out there is saying Kenya and people realizing, oh, Kenya runners, they know runner, Kenya runner. So I had the privilege of making a joke each time someone said Kenya runner. I'd say, yeah, Kenyans are runners, and I came from Kenya to Hong Kong. I ran all this way. Yeah, so it's also very well supplied with wild boars. When I was setting out for my 4-day expedition, the people I was with tried to warn me. They told me, you're going to encounter wild boars. You need to be very careful about the wild boars. And I told them, guys, I am from Africa. A wild boar cannot do anything to me. But on the very first night that I was camping, a wild boar tore up my tent, went into the tent, took out my food. So all my supply for 4 days was eaten on the very first night by a wild boar. And that was crazy. There are wild boars and there are buffaloes, water buffaloes on the trail. And the wild boars are more dangerous than the buffaloes. So you will be walking next to a buffalo, and the buffalo is very friendly. But when you encounter a wild boar, you're in some trouble. Yeah. One other hike that I really loved is called the Big Buddha. It's called the Big Buddha because there's a massive Buddha that you can see from miles away. This is an island called Lantau, and Lantau is different from mainland Hong Kong or central Hong Kong, in that Lantau is a very rural setting, very nature, very many trails to go and hike, and a lot of forest area so that you can go and be in the wild for a few nights. And the Big Buddha is accessible by ferry, 40 minutes from central Hong Kong. So this is if you have more than a day. The hike, the trail is 15 kilometers and it's zero city. There's also something called the Wisdom Path inside the temple of the Big Buddha. Unfortunately, when I went there, they had closed for renovations, but the Wisdom Path and the temple tour were some things that were on my bucket list, but I did not manage to do them. So if you're ever in Hong Kong, please go and you can come and let us know how that went.
Then
I did
all
a bit
those
of
trails, sorry, they were also free and unguided.
100%. When I got to Hong Kong, I thought that my adventures would be the most expensive part of my stay, but it turned out most of my adventures were free. And the most expensive thing was just eating food, McDonald's, a lot of McDonald's, and a lot of kibandaskis. Kibandaskis are called cha chow teng. And yeah, the food just wrecked my budget.
What
Because
about
all of this,
for sorry?
yeah.
What about for the camping one? How did you navigate?
How did I navigate in terms of
Like how to go like the correct path?
Oh, okay. That's a brilliant question. So the trails are very well marked, and essentially all you would need to know is the starting point that you want to get into a trail and the end point. And there are very many apps in Hong. There's one app called HK Trails that has all the information on all the trails in Hong Kong. So if you look it up, it will tell you this is a starting point. This is the distance you'll cover. This is the elevation you're going to gain. These are the supply points on that trail. And these are the rescue kind of information, which I found to be pointless because Hong Kong is one of the safest places I've ever been and one of the most straightforward places. There's no hike I felt anyone could get lost, which was very curious because at night, you will see helicopters doing search and rescue for mainland Chinese people who have gotten lost in Hong Kong. So we kept asking ourselves, how do you get lost on literally just walk down, you'll find the city, you'll walk back into the city. So HK Trails is a good app for looking up your trails. Yeah. I did a bit of climbing in Hong Kong and I'll mention about two crags, the Central Crags, which was an amazing experience. And at my level of amateur climbing, I don't really climb to win medals or to be the best climber. I climb for how it makes me feel. And this definitely makes you feel something because the backdrop is insane. This picture is taken from someone who is on the face of the wall climbing that crag. So when you have that backdrop, you literally feel like you're King Kong conquering your 6A or 6B or 6C. So this was insane. I climbed it by day, and then again I climbed it in the evening, which is another amazing experience because you get to see that same backdrop now light up with city lights, and you can see the boats, you can see the ocean being the dark part, and it's an amazing, amazing experience. There's also something called the Climbing Bible in Hong Kong, which is a guidebook for all the climbing routes in Hong Kong. So the Central Crags are about 6 crags, and they have approximately 20 routes each. So there's plenty of routes, and you need some information to know what the rating is on that, how long the trail, how long the route has been there, and some more information. It's all found on the Climbing Bible. And it was very surprising or culture shocking to me that all this information was very accessible, readily accessible. All these routes were readily accessible, and all these crags were free to climb. If you had the gear and you had someone to belay you, and you have the Climbing Bible, you can climb all the routes in Hong Kong free of charge. I'm not sure who maintains them or how they are maintained, but it's something I've asked a friend of mine so that we can know how those crags are maintained. There's also a very massive climbing community in Hong Kong. You'll be very hard, it will be very easy for you to find other climbers, people who have the rope and the equipment for you to go climbing. On Facebook groups, on Instagram chats, you'll find other people who are climbing. And even if you just show up at the crag and you are confident enough that you'll be belayed by the person you find there, you'll find people who will climb with you and who will belay you. And it was also quite a safe experience. Everyone was very safety conscious that I met, and we ended up having a really good time. Sharp Island is another experience that I had as I was climbing. And this was my best experience in Hong Kong. Sharp Island was by far the best day I had. The crags were literally overlooking the ocean, and literally where we were standing to belay, your belayer was standing so close to the edge that the water was coming up all the way to his legs. And if he needed to jump somewhere so that he could catch a fall, he would jump right into the ocean. So the backdrop was amazing. And just the experience of being in such a beautiful setting and climbing a difficult route, managing to climb the route, was something that I'll never forget. Yeah, so it's very hot in the summer. And if you're going to go rock climbing in the summer, expect to be burnt, expect your hands and your arms to be burnt. And you'll be using your chalk not just to dry your sweat, but also to cool your hands, because your arms will get pretty burnt. Any picture of me climbing in Hong Kong, I'm mostly shirtless. And that is because, not because I like being shirtless, but because it is so hot, and it's even hotter when you're climbing. And when I went to these amazing places, what the people told me is that I should go to Taiwan and I should go climbing in mainland China, because I was so impressed by this. Those guys told me, you need to go to mainland China and do some climbing, then you'll have your heart knocked off. Your heart knocked off. Heart knocked off. Yes. We also did some sea kayaking, which is how we got to Sharp Island. And first of all, when you get to Hong Kong, the water quality is not that good. We are used to very clean water in our coasts. In Hong Kong, I've heard all my life about plastic in the ocean. I got to finally see it. The water quality is not that great. That notwithstanding, I went swimming almost every morning. We stayed right next to the ocean. So I used to wake up and do an open water swim around some buoys that were in the ocean where I was. The daytime temperatures were 30 degrees, so the water was quite warm as well. And what stood out for me was that all the boats and the ferries and all the other water sports lovers had a mutual respect and a mutual understanding for each other's safety, and you felt well protected. I didn't feel unsafe when I was swimming. Whereas if I was swimming in Kenya and someone had a boat, my first instinct would be stop for the boat to turn or to go back, because I would not feel safe at all. Yeah, so the water sports community is very, very self-regulated. You are in charge of your own safety. There's no one there. As long as you know what you're doing, there are people who are swimming, people who are kayaking, people who are on paddle boards, people who are on what is it called? Dinghies. What do you do with a dinghy? That thing you do with a dinghy. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The rowing, yes. There were people who are rowing. There were very many people on banana boats, very many teams on banana boats. Sailing, that's the one I'm looking for. Guys, we don't have any sailors in the house. Yeah. So we did some open water kayaking and some swimming, open water swimming, very good. And this is my last thing that I want to talk about, coasteering. I really hope we get to see these videos at the end of the day. Coasteering is hiking. So we are used to a smooth coast in Kenya. And in other parts of the world, I got to discover in Hong Kong, the coasts look like this. So it's just rocky face all around the coast. And coasteering is hiking along the coast. It's not very demanding. You can see my friend here is wearing Crocs, so it's not very technical, but it is very exciting. There are parts where you will hike, there are parts where you will rock climb, and there are parts where there is no path. There's no path to get to the next phase, so you have to jump into the water and swim across. We went with these bags here, waterproof bags. So everything, your phone, your climbing gear, whatever it is you're carrying has to go in that waterproof bag, so that when you get to a place where you have to get into the water, your things don't get wet.
What if someone falls? What happens?
Yeah, so I'll show you. You jump in. You jump in. That's that video. That video is us getting to a place you can no longer go that way, so you just jump in. And if you're to fall, the ocean is close enough that it will break your fall and that you won't really be in a lot of danger. Yeah. So these two videos are really interesting. This is a video of us getting into the water. thinking that it was going to be fun. And this is a video of us trying to get out, but the waves were too strong. The current was too strong. We were having trouble coming out. And these edges have barnacles. So when you're coming to step and coming to land, yeah, they will prick you and they will bite you. All right, my last slide is about sports in Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong on a work trip, and I was there to benchmark sports infrastructure. And boy, did I mark that bench. There was so much sports infrastructure, I could not get over it. So I'll run quickly through this. The Hong Kong Jockey Club is something that I'd want to talk about forever. I was so impressed by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. This is the biggest taxpayer in Hong Kong. They are the sole operators of gambling, of horse race betting in Hong Kong, and they are a non-profit business. So that blew my mind. The fact that they have something like $50 billion in revenue a year, and they are non-profit, absolutely blew my mind. So what they do with their profits is they churn back into the community by building sports infrastructure. So you will find swimming pools, you'll find rowing clubs, you will find tennis clubs that have been funded, partly funded by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. On top of that, there's a public infrastructure that has been built by the government, your swimming pools, your track and field, your football, all your sports, your elderly people sports funded by the government. And these are all free for anyone to come in and access and participate. There are also private sports parks, people who have set up your golf ranges and your private membership clubs, which you have to pay to be a part of. But I found it interesting that it's not that expensive. There's some gyms in Nairobi that are more expensive than some of these clubs, sports clubs in Hong Kong. So my point is to drive in the point that Hong Kong is an ideal destination if you want to go for a training holiday. If you have a marathon coming up or have a triathlon coming up, go to Hong Kong for 2 weeks. Train there for 2 weeks. The weather is amazing, especially if you go during the summer. The infrastructure is brilliant for you to go and train, and you will win that race that you will train for if you train for it in Hong Kong. The only caveat is that road cycling is not that safe. Their roads are quite narrow, and the Hong Kong people are not very accommodating to cyclists. So when a cyclist is in front of the bus will slow down and traffic will snarl up for kilometers on end, so they get a bit frustrated. So road cycling is the only sport I found that cannot be very well trained for in Hong Kong. Yeah, that was my time in Hong Kong.
How was the food and accommodation? You mentioned you ate a lot of McDonald's. You don't like Chinese food?
No, I do like Chinese food, but I was on a budget. I was on a McDonald's budget. So McDonald's is what I could afford. So I probably ate McDonald's 75% of my meal. So I used to eat breakfast at McDonald's. I used to eat a lunch meal at McDonald's and maybe a Chinese supper in the evening. Yeah, so the Chinese food was good.
And accommodation?
I was cordially hosted at a very interesting place called the Outward Bound School, which is an outdoor school. So I was hosted by a friend of mine who works at Outward Bound, and I stayed there on majority of my nights. There were nights that I couldn't be there. So if my friend wasn't there, I had to sort myself. So I just take my camping gear and go and camp at a public campsite, or I'd go crash with other people. But I did stay at this place called the Outward Bound School. And it was also another culture shock for me, just how well invested these people were in teaching the younger generation sports. So we had a lot of outdoor equipment, all the kayaks, all the climbing ropes, all the climbing equipment. They had sailing equipment. I just didn't have the time. And yeah, that's why I stayed. I was hosted by a friend. It's very expensive to get accommodation by yourself. I was looking at hotels. A few nights I did stay at a hotel. It cost around 10,000 shillings per night. And that was a budget hotel. So if you're going to go to Hong Kong, I can give you a contact to our friend and he'll graciously host you.
Okay, asante sana.
Thank you very much.
So, no, this is him.
Okay.
So Q&A.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
for
me
me-
shirtless, by the way.
Before I give out the mic, for coasteering, you must be a good swimmer.
Yes, for coasteering, you must be a good swimmer because chances are you will end up in the water. So you must be a decent enough swimmer, at least to swim from here to the very far end of that room so that you can get to the next step.
Now that Kip told us to keep the questions to ourselves, now I had to write my questions down, Kip. This is embarrassing. So first of all, we shall go with your story that a boar ate your food, but we know you. If there are no videos, you are the boar. But first, how did you restock your food on that particular trail? And then, are there huts that you can use instead if you don't want to camp? And did you find out where these other hikers were? Like you said, you are not seeing them on the trail, but you're seeing them at the campsites. Did you ever find out, is it that they had other side trails that they were doing or something? And then, yeah. Okay.
All right. So fortunately for me, as I've said, the campsites have local families that have shops there. So you will not be completely out of food. So I was able to restock and buy more supplies at those local shops as I was hiking. There were no huts and there was no formal accommodation. There were no rooms that I saw. So as you're hiking that Maclehose, you are basically sleeping in a tent. It's not that bad. You're sleeping in a tent on the beach, and it's not the worst. I know there's some people who are anti-tent, but it's not the worst. So I did not see any rooms that were on that trail. About the Chinese hikers, so my theory is that I was the only novice person hiking in the summer during the day. So they were coming in maybe later in the evening. They were starting their hikes later in the evening. But that's just a theory. The trails are huge and there are very many interconnected trails. So maybe they were coming in from different trails, or probably they were just hiking in the evening.
Another question?
Sorry. For me, I'm just curious. Two things. One, so you never tried out the street food at all?
The street food?
Yeah, street food. Yeah.
Oh, I ate a lot of street pastries. I did eat something called crab rangoon, and it's a street food. It's like a samosa, but it has seafood inside it. It has like squid or prawns, and it was amazing. Yeah.
So nothing out of the ordinary, like
Nothing out of the
frog
ordinary. I
legs or
didn't eat any
something?
snakes or
No?
anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
These people eat a lot of pork,
Okay.
and a lot of beef tongue, a lot of matumbo. So I felt quite at home. The food wasn't that different from what I'm used to back here. Yeah.
And the last question is about the weather. You talked about the seasons. Could you maybe elaborate more in terms of that?
Yeah. So I went in midsummer. I went in September and October, and it was quite hot. It was average 28 degrees to 32 degrees. It's also typhoon season in the summer. Fortunately for me, the only typhoon was just before I arrived. I didn't get to experience that. But yeah, basically the weather is Mombasa, just Mombasa. And there's AC everywhere, in the bus, in the train stations. So it's not that hot. It's just hot when you're waiting for your bus or when you're hiking or when you're outdoors. Yeah.
You said the hikes were free. So is there a place where you're doing like some sort of a registration in case you go missing? Like how do they find you? If everybody goes at the same time, does it get packed, or how does it work?
Okay. I didn't see any place that was packed, any hiking trail, any camping site that was packed. There's so much outdoor activity in Hong Kong that I think it's diversified enough that you won't get a packed. The only packed places are public barbecue joints during public holidays, where a lot of foreign nationals, a lot of Chinese people are going to come and roast meat. That's the only time I found outdoor spaces being packed. But otherwise, it was not.
But this was a 100-kilometer hike, so that's
Yeah.
4 days. So if you went missing,
How would they know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do not know how they would know. I guess my friends would start looking for me because I didn't register. I literally did not register.
There was no registration.
Yeah, there was no registration. I just took my camping gear and started hiking. But on the campsites, there are emergency phone lines that you can call in, and there's network all over the place. So there's no one point that I didn't have Hong Kong HKMC something. Yeah, so I had my Wi-Fi the entire time. And it was not the bush. It was not Elephant Hill getting lost. Yeah. Yeah, and I can add, I hope we're not out of time. I can add one more thing before the last question. There was no language barrier that I felt. Hong Kong was colonized by the Brits, just like us. So most of them speak English. When you walk to a shop, when you walk to the train information desk, most people will speak English. So there was no language barrier per such. The language barrier was when I encountered Chinese, mainland China people. There was a language barrier.
Thank you. Mathan, first of all, congratulations on eating all your supplies and
And blaming the boa.
blaming the boa. We all know you. There was no boa involved. Anyway, Hong Kong looks like a very nice place. Humid, steep mountains. What is the one thing? What was the steepest learning curve you faced when you came to adapting to the local culture? Part of my question was, did you eat snakes? But it has been answered. And apart from that, how different was your experience as compared to your experience here in, let's say, Mombasa, your hiking trails probably in Makueni? How different was it?
Okay, so the first question is in terms of culture, how different it was.
Yes.
What was my steepest learning curve? So I used to think that Nairobi is fast-paced, and all my life I've thought Nairobi is too fast-paced. When I got to Hong Kong, I realized Nairobi is snail-paced. We have no idea what fast-paced is. So Hong Kong is on steroids. Like the trains move and everyone is moving at such a high pace that was a culture shock to me. And it was also the blending in. In Nairobi, in any room I walk into, chances are I'll meet a familiar face. In Hong Kong, there's no chance that you will ever see anyone who is a familiar face. There's 7 million people in that city. You will see all 7 million of them every single day for some reason. So that was a culture shock to me, just how fast-paced and how many people can live in such a tiny place. It's like the size of Nairobi, Kiambu, and Nakuru. That's it, 7 million people and a lot of infrastructure to support. So that close-knitness was a culture shock to me. Steepest learning curve, and the fact that I blended in so well. I was expecting to stand out. When it comes to my other foreign trips, I've stood out, and I won't go much into how I've stood out, but in Hong Kong, I did not stand out, and that was one of the highlights of my trips. I did not stand out at all. No one cares who you are, no one cares what you're doing, not even the police. The police are more interested in the mainland Chinese people. They did not stop me at all, and I could see them stopping other people and asking. I was almost removing my passport to show the police. They did not care. Yeah. And also all the free activities that I got into just because I was a foreign national. It almost felt like anywhere else in the world, I'm seen as an immigrant, but in Hong Kong, I'm seen as an expat. Every place I went into, I got in for free. The horse races, the swimming pools, they just needed to see my passport. Oh, you're a tourist, come on in. So very interesting place.
Other question?
All right, good stuff.
Okay.
Sante
Thanks,
Nisana for
Mother.
your time.